Good morning. I'm István Tóth, the CEO of Xyz Italy. I would like to show you in a short demonstration the directions we want to go in the future with ArchiSuite. Especially in ArchiTerraPlus, I can show you already how we intend to transform our plugins. Basically, instead of using and bringing always new features, we would like to focus more on the ease of use and of the fun of use of the plugin. Therefore, we choose totally new interface with colors and bigger icons to make it easy to find, to focus. So even if you don't use so often the plugin or our ArchiTerra, you can always easily find your way through your work. Okay, we divided it in 4 phases. First is the input of the data and the terrain constructions. Second is work on the terrain. Third are additional urban services you can give. The fourth are some utilities for the ArchiSuite. You click on them, you get here the input forms. So text file, DXF, shape, which is more common now in Italy, mesh if you want from ArchiCAD, import a mesh and use the features of ArchiTerra. You can use it with this command. And here are the outlines, the creation of the terrain, counterlines, and so on. Let's take a very simple example of some points. You import that. And here you see immediately we changed the whole dialogue. It is more easier to understand where to find what, and what you don't use always, you don't have it in front of you. If you still prefer the old interface, we always kept the dialogues, the oldest, so you can work also with them. But we think earlier or later everybody will prefer these new dialogues. Okay, let's import the points. Here we have them. Let's make the outline. Also here, simplified, like the software gives it. So it should be of ease and it's somehow fun. ArchiCAD is a very exciting tool for the things it does, but it is a little bit complex to learn, and you use it every day, ArchiCAD, but you don't use probably every day the ArchiSuite. So we need to give more emphasis on the single features. Okay, we have now the outline, and on the outline we can now create the terrain itself. Also here we simplified it. We don't have any more the colors from under the earth. Why should we use that? The terrain in ArchiTerra, you don't need that information, so we skipped it. But you may need the morphological information, so we kept them and simplified the whole dialogue. Okay, it advises you that the terrain is created, and now you can put the counterlines. Also the counterlines changed. We follow now the arrow norm with counterlines, primary counterlines and secondary counterlines, which makes it more clear, more simple to work at. Okay, we have them. Now we have also a thing. This is the morphological analysis of the inclination of the ground. It was hidden in the older form. Somebody uses it, but very rarely. But it may be in the future a very important feature when we start to insert water analysis. Where's the water going? Where it will be? Where is it collecting? And here you see now that here is very flat, so there's low pressure. Here is very deep, so there's high pressure on the water, and it goes therefore faster and quicker because of the depth. And these are informations you will definitely need in the future. I think this is basically now for the import of the point. Now let's see what we can do with that data. So let's go back to the counterline image and see what we can do here. Basically, we inserted the polyline and the fill command directly here. Here we have the plateau, which probably for architects is the most important feature. The street and the longitudinal cross sections and the sidewalks. Let's quickly look what can be done with the plateau. Let's put a plateau here. A big news in ArchiSuite, in ArchiTerra, is now that you don't have to select for any operation always the ground, the terrain, and the object you want to work on. This was sometimes very time consuming to go through with many tabs and so on till you found the correct selections. So this time you have only to select the fill. Okay. You don't need to select the work, as I just said. Go to the dialog and find out in what height you want to put the plateau. Let's say 25 meters is okay. And it calculates immediately the plateau. Now we have a very important news here, and it is this Xyz coordinates, which was always a little bit a problem. ArchiCAD have a very good Xyz coordinate system, but it doesn't consider the work which is done, like here. So we entered a little bit in the procedure, but with some limitations. You can read it by clicking here. You get the values, and you have here 0, 0, 0, till you get to the terrain. Now it reads the Z value, and if you go over the plateau, now you see it doesn't keep the old mesh, but it keeps the working field active. And this is very, very important, because in ArchiCAD you have always, even in this form, if you bring this now as object to ArchiCAD, you can read here always the original terrain and not the work which is done, which is the modifications. This makes very much sense in ArchiCAD, but it's a little bit a limitation for ArchiTerra. Now, as far as we stole this we copied in somehow the procedure of ArchiCAD. We have, unfortunately, to give it up after time. So we have to click wherever you want to get out of this feeling to be able to work on again. So repeat, we select it, can read the data, but we have to get out of the procedure by clicking somewhere in the field. Okay? So this is done. Let's look for a moment in 3D. You see here, it's a wonderful present. Okay, this is the cut, the fill. It's all here. Excellent. Let's go back in two-dimensional and see what else we can do. I would suggest let's try to put a little road. We have an important thing here in this dialog boxes all over. We have two states, default and creation. So if nothing is selected, it is in a default state. If something is selected, then it's in a creation state. I will show you immediately. So let's create a polyline. Okay, and after finishing here, because somehow we enter ArchiCAD, it is always a good way to push the escape button to go back to the arrow. So escape, you get back to this situation, and now you can select the polyline, enter the road, and now you see you have a width, and you have all the information you want to have, and here you have now the creation. So this is very, very important between default and creation. Okay, creation. Let's see it in 3D. ArchiCAD is very, very powerful for this kind of work, or to assist this kind of work. Okay, so we have here now a fill, and we want the sidewalk here. So remember, you have to hit the escape key to get to the arrow. You select it and go into the field, and you decide now what high you want. You're in the creation now, so you can decide the high, and everything is perfect. Let's say OK. And here, as far as we use the fill command, we have to say the program also where it starts and where it ends. So let's say it starts here and it ends here. Okay, just to know how to follow the directions of the terrain. Okay, let's see in 3D. You see it has been put the sidewalk up here, and which follows the terrain. Okay. The sidewalk has always to be on a road. In the past, it was possible to have it also outside of a road. But outside of a road, it is not anymore sidewalk. Sidewalk is part of the road, so you construct it also like that. You take the earth of the whole road, build the sidewalk. This is one step, but it has to be inside. So it understands the way of the sidewalk, the height and everything following the road, because it is on a road. If you want to make it outside of a road, then you just use a new road for that. Okay, so in this here we elaborated now this part, and we will go to the next AutoScal. Just as I was close to AutoScal, this command here is basically already you understand what it is. It's the updates. Sometimes it happens that in modeling software that the things get a little bit out of order. What is first, what is later. You hit here, and the whole sequences of the work will be updated again. So, for example, in cancellation, sometimes there remain some lines or the counter lines in certain circumstances. We don't know why, but it doesn't update when you change the terrain. So if you hit it here, it follows the last position of the terrain. Okay, let's see what do we have here. We have the polyline and the fill again. We have the trees, and the trees is basically the same like it was before. We are currently working in on a set of 10 most common trees in Europe. We want to make them very flexible, easy to use, but the GDL is still very, very slowing it down. So it will take some time till we redo the whole procedure again. You remember, you select it, and you can put the trees and feel happy with it. You have to hit the escape to get out of the procedure. Here we have one thing we took out in the last moment. We didn't took it out from the dialog. It shows you work in process. We apologize for it, but it was so closed that we put it in, and then we found in the last moment an error which corrupted the whole data in some cases. So we just cut it out and first want to fix that bug. Basically, very often it happens that especially in mountains fields, architects has to organize the building of small dams, 5 meter dams, 10 meter dams, so very small dams, and here you can calculate the volumes and everything. So it's a useful tool which very soon will appear. And here we have the basin, you remember from the old version, so I don't have to show it. Here is the buildings, and here are some news. You see it a little bit simplified. You're in detail form. Let's go first to make some buildings. So we choose the fill command. To quickly select some buildings. Let's put them here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And if you remember in the past, escape, in the past you had always to select each building separately, select separately the terrain, make it, then the next, select terrain. This was a huge, long way. Let's a little bit zoom in. So you select one, second fill, third fill. Okay, go to the building. Let's put also some roof on it. Perfect. Let's make them a bit higher, 4 meters. Okay, now let's see what happened in 3D. Also, auto scale is always useful. And you see all 3 buildings were inserted immediately. So it is a huge change if you have to do a big terrain where you get it immediately done one after the other. Interesting also that we selected to have only the real high and not the topographical high. So from the lowest to the top, this is the measurement we do. And you can do for a collection of buildings with the same high. Very often they are the same high. Okay. Then in the wall, we have nothing changed here. But I want to show, because we had in our situation very often problems with the wall. So let's look to memorize 2 things. Let's do it here. We have some free place. So let's make a polyline. 1, 2, 3, and let's make another polyline. Which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 concepts. Okay. Now select the first and do the line. Okay. Now select the second and do the line and see what happened. Here you can see it. In this field here, we have only two clicks. So it was here it selected the high, and from here to the next click, it cut through the ground. It doesn't adapt to the ground itself, to the terrain itself. In the next one, we put more clicks in, and you see the wall get always the same high. It doesn't cut through the field. So it's very important that you think before putting a wall what is important. You just want it somehow there, or you want to follow it always the ground. Unfortunately, we were thinking to do it always as default for this way here, but some customers said, no, because we want to avoid that it makes too many cuts, so we want to have the control. We are still thinking what is the better way. Give us some feedback and we will consider it definitely. So we would like to use now the retain wall. Let's use these trees and this plateau to show the procedure. Let's go to make first a little zoom to have a better view of everything. Let's use a plateau to add an additional plateau. Okay, let's use the fill. We could make here the plateau. Escape, remember always to use it with fill. Now we create the plateau. Print 8 was okay. Okay, now let's look in 3D. And you see the earth covered the trees. So what we can do is we add now Polyline. Okay, let's put it here. Polyline. Okay. Now it is very, very important to remember and to understand that for this work with the counter walls, it will be done between the wall and the plateau, not the whole terrain. So the whole terrain is always selected or pre-selected, but not the plateau. This work will be done between the plateau and the work, so we have to select the plateau, and we have to select the polyline with shift click, that both are selected. And now we can give the values. Yeah, okay, perfect. And we have to decide the direction where we want the work be done. Okay. Let's see in 3D. And entering in 3D, you see that the trees are now safe. Well, they could be a little bit more space, but somehow we get it that it is not covered. And you see here is the inclination of the wall, so perfectly it works. As last, in this we have the colored area. You select polylines and you color it. This is exactly like it used to be before, so I don't even show it. And this is the commutator to work in 3D editing, in X, Y, or in Z. You can select this, which one you prefer. Okay. Now let's see the last part. Back to auto scale. What do we have here? Basically, before you finish work, you have to pass all the data for the calculations. So you click, and now it works, just works. Singly, it recalculates everything and passes to ArchiCAD. The next is the object positioning, gravity on terrain. Basically, if you click here you get an ArchiCAD dialog where you can select the objects all the way you like. You have access to all the GDL database. I don't think I have to explain this. Here we have still the spot high settings. We added a point. There was an urbanist who said we need only the points for the we'd added it. I don't really understand why, but he asked for it. The next is the camera. You need polylines. Let's take it from here. You select one and go into the camera settings, and here you can decide the distances, and you have each 10 meter a camera which follows this polyline, and you can export this, and in ArchiCAD you see and can design the camera movements of this single objects. Okay. Here basically you can decide which working field you would like to have. The settings, you can, all the settings you have worked with, you can save and work with it in the next future. So thank you very much indeed for getting till here. It was just a very short demonstration for customers who have already ArchiTerra and have some experience. We wanted to show the directions we want to follow. We think the next plugins will follow exactly the same concept. It should be fun to use and easy to memorize, because the main problem in software is to memorize the procedures and to memorize how it works, and to avoid to forget it too easily. Thank you very much, and